Hey boys and girls, we are on lesson 16-2, Classify Quadrilaterals. You will need a pencil in your workbook. We are on page 625. Let's go ahead and read our learning goal together. I can identify properties of quadrilaterals. Okay, here's your solve and share. We're on page, again, 625. You are going to draw any length line segment that will fit in the space below. So a line segment is going to be a straight line that can go in any direction. So you can draw a straight line like that. Draw another line segment of any length that is parallel to the first one. Connect the ends of each line segment with the line segment to make a closed four-sided figure. What does your shape look like? Can you classify it? Discuss your ideas. Well, you'll put them in the box. Okay, go ahead and give it a try. Alrighty, well, if I'm going to take that line and I'm going to make a line parallel to it, it'd be like that. And then I'm going to connect it with two other lines to put it together. So what does this shape look like? Well, to me, if I have one set of parallel sides, these two sides aren't parallel because I made this one longer. So I know it's a quadrilateral because it's a closed four-sided figure. And I know it has one set of parallel sides, so it's not a parallelogram, but it would be a trapezoid. And that's how I would classify that shape because there's one set of parallel sides. If you drew a line like that, and then maybe another line that was the exact same length, and then connected it here and here, you would classify that as a quadrilateral, a rectangle if all four sides aren't equal, if these two. It could be a parallelogram too. So there's lots of classifications for a shape like that. Okay. So what are some properties of quadrilaterals is our central question. Yesterday we talked about triangles, three-sided figures. Today we're talking about quadrilaterals, four-sided figures. So here are some categories of quadrilaterals that you can, properties that you can classify them by. So how many pairs of opposite sides? How many pairs of opposite sides are parallel? Which sides have equal length? How many right angles are there? So think about the questions below when you are classifying quadrilaterals. So a trapezoid has one pair of parallel sides. So just like that one that I drew, you can see that this one right here is parallel to this top one, but these guys aren't. So parallel lines could go on and on and on forever and they would never intersect. You can see here we've got a parallel line and a parallel line. And this one, because this line is straight here, this is actually something that you call a right trapezoid, just like because it has our right angle in there, just like our right triangles. So then a parallelogram has two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. So here's one pair, two pairs. So we've got a square, a rectangle, a rhombus, a parallelogram is what I would call that one. Okay, then we're gonna classify a little bit further with these two guys right here. So a rectangle has four right angles, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? All of these are rectangles. A rhombus has all sides the same length. So that's why this guy right here is a rhombus. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe this guy. I don't know, it didn't quite look even to me, but no, I don't think that guy's a rhombus. So you can see that all four sides are congruent or the same length there. Now this square is like the farthest down you can get with all of the classifications. So a square has all sides the same length. It has four right angles, which also, the four right angles also makes it a rectangle. It's also a parallelogram because it has two sets of parallel sides, and it's also a quadrilateral because it has four sides, and it is also a rhombus because all four sides are the same length. So it's like the most special quadrilateral. I have a little chart that I was going to show you to break it down. Ooh, this is teensy tiny. So we've got our quadrilateral is a polygon with four sides. So our parallelogram has two sets of parallel sides. You'll see it branches off into parallelogram with two sets, trapezoid with one set. Parallel lines right here, these guys are not parallel. These are parallel, these are parallel. So then beyond parallelogram, we've got rectangles and rhombuses. Rectangles have two sets of parallel sides, and the opposite sides are congruent or the same length. So like on this side and this side, those would be the same length. That side and that side would be the same length. Remember, our rhombus has all four sides the same length. So I put 2 dashes and 2 dashes because those are the same. 1 dash because those are the same. These all have the same length there, but it falls under the parallelogram classification. So then below that is a square. It has 4 right angles, like our rectangle, right? It has the top and bottom are parallel, sides are parallel, so we've got parallelogram. All 4 sides are congruent, so we've got rhombus. So you can say a square is a square, rhombus, rectangle, parallelogram, quadrilateral. You can work your way up the little chart here. It's classified under it. And then over here we've got just 2 different types of trapezoids. This would be just hold on, I cannot see how tiny that is. But we had a trapezoid on our last one. We have a regular trapezoid and then just a regular trapezoid here, where we've got a little bit more symmetrical sides. Okay, so we are gonna look at how a square and rhombus are alike for number 1. So I want you to use the information on 626 to see, on page 626, to see what you can come up with how they're similar. Okay, well, what we should have noticed is they're both quadrilaterals, but they don't both have 4 right angles. So for this one, we could say they have 4 sides of equal length. This is also called congruent. When you say congruent sides, it means it's equal length. Sorry, my pen is a little bit off, but we're gonna try to push through. Okay, number 2, how is a trapezoid different from a parallelogram? Look, you can look at the back on 626 to help you. Okay, well, what you should have said is a trapezoid has 1 set of parallel sides. So I'm just gonna say T, 1 set parallel sides. And for a parallelogram, 2 sets parallel sides. I'm using a little 2 little parallel lines to shorten that up. Okay, and 3 through 6 use as many names as you can to classify each polygon. Tell which name is most specific. Again, you can go back, use page 626 to classify. Start with number 3. Okay, so if we start with, I'm just going to start with which one's most specific. So we have square because it has 4 right angles, 4 congruent sides. But that 4 congruent sides also makes it a rhombus. Having 2 sets of parallel sides and 4 right angles makes it a rectangle. And then at the very tippy top, what we're talking about today of that little flow chart would be quadrilateral. So we should have 4. Squares are most specific there. Okay, go ahead and try number 4. All right, well, our first one is a rectangle because that is the most specific. It has 2 sets of parallel sides and it has 90-degree angles in there. Beyond that, we're gonna have parallelogram because we have 2 sets of parallel sides. Oh, did I not write that above? Nope, I didn't. I missed one up here. Sorry. There we go. So then we've got also parallel. I thought it was too short. Parallelogram. Rectangle, parallelogram, quadrilateral. Okay, let's go ahead and try number 5. There's going to be 3 classifications for this one. Okay, well, we know it's a quadrilateral. It has 2 sets of parallel sides, so it's a parallelogram. All 4 sides are congruent, so then the most specific classification we're going to have is a rhombus. It's not a square because it doesn't have 4 right angles. So we've got rhombus, parallelogram, and then quadrilateral. All right. Our last one, number 6, go ahead and give it a try. There are 2 for this one. So we've got 4 sides, so we know it's going to be a quadrilateral. We have 2 sets of parallel sides, so we know it's going to be a parallelogram. So for this one, we would have these 2 that we've had, I think, all along. Yeah, we've had them all along, and those would be the only ones. So we went from a really specific shape to a less specific shape right there. If you think about our flow chart, it was farther up at the top of it, letting you know that it didn't have as many classifications. Okay, we're going to keep practicing in group.